I believe that the bankers would be more productive if they were given more time to rest, relax, recalibrate, and unwind during these Saturdays. The factors that made the banks to extend their working hours and even open the banks on Saturdays have all been bypassed by events. Hi everyone. The most useless day in this East African country called Kenya, according to me, is a Saturday. At least for the people who work in banks, Saccos, and other financial institutions. Allow me to call them the bankers in this video. These are people who go to jobs on Saturdays for at least 3 or 4 hours. What can you possibly achieve in 3 or 4 hours? Yet your day is completely ruined because there is nothing major that you can organize for yourself or even for your family. I have talked to them, and most of them tell me that there is very little that is achieved on these particular days. For instance, no checks are cleared on Saturdays. Did you know that bankers don't attend their colleagues' weddings? The best they can do is to send 1, 2, or 3 colleagues to represent the others during such important life events. What about their personal time with their families, for outings, road trips, holidays, etc.? I have always really felt for bankers during public holidays that fall on Fridays, since they have to be at work on Saturdays. I've never understood why it is only the bankers who are forced to work on Saturdays, while most of the other individuals in formal employments, such as civil servants and teachers, work for 5 days and rest for 2 days. Even the cooks and soldiers in our schools, I'm in the education sector myself, use the same schedule, work for 5 days and get a rest of 2 days. Why have the bankers in this country been exposed to such unfair labor practices for all these years? From what we know that they earn, it is clear that they are not compensated for the extra day that they have been working for all these years. This is not only illegal, unjustifiable, unfair, unconstitutional, outright unlawful, but also akin to labor exploitation. Maybe, just maybe, it used to be okay for them to work on Saturdays and serve individuals who were held up at their workplaces during weekdays. But this is no longer the case because of the many bank agents across the country. For instance, Equity Bank has 404 branches and 83,142 agents, meaning that there are 205 agents for every branch, while KCB has 83 agents for every branch. With such a network, why would the bankers continue working on Saturdays for the so-called half a day? We should also not forget the technological advancement in the banking sector, which has made even the ATMs the only innovation, I repeat, the only innovation that the banks have come up with in the last century to become obsolete. I believe that the bankers would be more productive if they were given more time to rest, relax, recalibrate, and unwind during these Saturdays. But even more importantly, closing the banks on Saturdays would mean an even greater improvement of the economy at the grassroots level, because all the transactions that are done by the banks would now be handled by the agents. I'm talking like one of the former agents of these banks. And by the way, the agents are now handling even more transactions than the banks themselves. Additionally, bankers are people with money. They are in the middle class, and would also definitely engage in activities that would stimulate other sectors of the economy, such as food joints, local tourism, fuel consumptions in their many road trips, the hotel, leisure, accommodation, and the general hospitality industry. My request in this video is therefore very simple. Kindly release the bankers on Saturdays. I can tell you for a fact that the first bank to implement this policy will see a more productive workforce among its employees. The factors that made the banks to extend their working hours and even open the banks on Saturdays, such as opening up the banking space for the common people in this country and the cutthroat competition, especially among the international banks and the local banks, have all been bypassed by events. If the banks really want to compensate for the 3 or 4 hours lost on Saturdays, they can include them during weekdays by pushing the closing time by half an hour or so during weekdays. I believe that there is not a single banker who would be against such extensions if it meant a free day on Saturdays. However, there would be no need of such weekdays extensions, since many are the times that I have seen bankers, especially the ones employed by Equity Bank, leave their workplaces at 7 or 8 p.m. and even sometimes at midnight, again without any compensation for the overtime. In conclusion, please let's be fair to the bankers of this country. They should not be among the very few people in the formal sector who work for 6 days a week, while most of us work for 5 days. I have also checked the global trends and noted that many banks in the European countries, the USA, China, and even some African countries do not open on Saturdays. This is definitely the direction to take. I have written to the Kenya Bankers Association requesting them to effect this change of policy soonest possible. Thank you so much. I'm out.